Robert Kerr from the Morning Kickaround podcast. We're going to bring him on the screen right now. Robert, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, gentlemen. How you feeling? I'm feeling a little underbearded here tonight. And with my usual Morning Kickaround co-host, he's got a magnificent beard too, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, there you go. You have more hair than most of us, though, so we're a little jealous of that as well. So it's good to have you, Robert. Thanks for joining us. Dustin's having all kinds of technical issues. So
every time somebody comes on the screen that's new, it kicks me out. So sorry.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, Robert, thanks for joining us. We've taken to your show quite a bit here as hosts of this podcast, just learning, we've had a USL 2 team here in Fort Wayne for a couple of years, and we're learning the ropes, and we're learning about teams, and we're learning about, Oakland
County.
Yeah, your very first team as the USL, very first match as a USL game was up on a stormy, cold night in suburban Detroit. You guys lost 2 or 3-0 up in Oakland County, but you guys have done awesome things, and obviously you've won a lot at the USL 2 level, and I couldn't be more excited for you to take this big step forward.
Yeah, we're excited here in Fort Wayne as well. And so we have fans that, like us, are unfamiliar with USL League One soccer. We hear about USL Championship. We know all about Major League Soccer. USL League One is new to us here in Fort Wayne. And so we're excited to have you on to share a little bit of your knowledge from Morning Kickaround. And you guys have your slogan is dotting the map of the American soccer landscape. Tell us where that came from and what you mean by that.
Well, we're in the era of mass expansion, especially in the USL, but across all the soccer leagues. And Jason and I got fuel in the fire of the show and just content in general when the USL announced in the spring of 2025 that they were going to add a first division. And then just a few weeks later after that, they decided to vote for promotion relegation. And then so there was already an impetus to infill this league, this USL League One, which started in 2019 at just 10 teams. And so with the advent of USL coming, there's been an influx of teams. Hopefully, they're kind of bulking up the USL Championship and the USL League One, which is going to be the biggest it's ever been in 2026 at 18 teams when Fort Wayne enters the fray. And so I think that in the Morning Kickaround, both the expansion of stadiums across the country, we dot the map there, and then new teams coming online at all different levels from top to bottom, from amateur up to MLS. There's been new teams, and then we're about a year into doing the show, Morning Kickaround, and we've been getting, more and more people on board, regular viewers and channel members, and so we've just been, literally putting dots on the map with the channel members, and then adding density. So with promotion and relegation, we're going to have at the lower end of the pyramid, there's going to have to be regionalization, and then so over the process of what's going to take years is we're going to dot the map, and hopefully on the other side we'll have lots of dots on the map. So we'll have regionalization for leagues like USL League One, in a matter of fact, and then stuff below them to kind of feed into them as well. Because one of the takeaways of 2025, I think some of the best soccer stories came from USL League One in 2025. But when you talk to teams, especially on the west side of the country, I don't know if a team in the third division can make the trips and the travel that they were doing. I don't know if they can do that long term. So especially on the West Coast, adding regionalization is going to be key. And they're like this week, we talked about a new team popping up in Oregon, and then they're going to try to do another team in Fresno again. And we talk about on the show about there is a role at USL front office, Justin Papadakis. He's like chief real estate officer. And you guys have probably had run-ins with him with the whole stadium and going pro and all that. But he's going from town to town, trying to make relationships with city council members or folks with access to land deals and stuff like that. And they're really trying to get multi-purpose plus stadium things in as many cities across the United States right now.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, no doubt, and we're excited here in Fort Wayne to be part of it, and love that we get to hear the other stories from podcasts like yours that are happening across the country. And you mentioned the travel from the West Coast to the East Coast, or even to the Midwest, and we talked, I think it was last week, about 1 week in a Saturday to Saturday. Fort Wayne plays here at home, then they travel to Boise, Idaho on Wednesday, and then they travel back here and play at home on Saturday. So lots of travel, and the regionalization, I think, is going to be huge when USL One continues to expand and grow. So
yeah, you got to add more dots. I was disappointed. One of the downsides, I was really excited for a very long time because my previous show was Michigan Soccer Central, and I did a show very similar to what you guys are doing, but in Michigan, pretty much tracking all the amateur all the way up, any story related to Michigan soccer. And there was always, since the mid, like 2015, 2016, there was a very active NPSL crowd for Grand Rapids FC out there. And so that kind of fell apart, but there was always like a seed that there was going to be a pro team coming. And it eventually did come down the pike, and I was hoping it would be in the USL. So either in the USL League One where you guys would compete, or in the USL Championship, and there'd be a cross Michigan DCFC versus Grand Rapids thing. But unfortunately, they went to another American soccer league at this level, MLS Next Pro, which is a whole nother kettle of fish.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to get to some of these big stories in USL One, but before we get there, one of our hosts that's not on the show tonight was listening to your program, and I was listening this last week, and your co-host Jason Davis that you mentioned, he says the quote we pulled from that is, if you love American soccer, if you love the growth of American soccer, if you're interested in the stories that are percolating up, not the big ones at the top that are going down, but the little ones that are bubbling up, then become a subscriber. The question in that is, there is a lot of expansion. There are a lot of stories. How do you uncover these stories that are not necessarily right in your backyard and avoid some of the big obvious ones that everybody's covering?
It comes from a few different things where I have to credit the channel members, the Morning Kickaround Discord. There's people all across the country that are paying attention to their own local markets, and a lot of the people that have taken the effort to support at that monetary level to do that, they're most of them are interested in their local teams, whether it be USL2 or NPSL and stuff like that. Those guys are really invested, and they'll be sending stories, and Google Alerts helps a lot too. And then I am decently connected in the Michigan soccer realm, so people send me stories from there. And then Jason's veteran within the industry, so he has a lot of people reach out to him, and it's just a mix of different things to try to stay in touch in as many different places. And I can't credit the we call them MK Ultras, the channel members. They really do, especially like the city council are preparing to approve this and that in various cities. And it seems like in the last couple of months, there's something almost every other day in a city, big or small, across the United States. There's some sort of a pitch going on for land, or some sort of exploratory relationship with USL or something. We have actually been making a joke that this the USL executive Papadakis is on like a barnstorming old-fashioned whistle stop tour, like an old baseball guy, going to all the train stations across the country trying to pitch, building a USL or a soccer specific stadium with some sort of a mixed retail or housing sort of a thing. Like, hey, it's a big benefit for the city, but it's also, a great place to put a soccer team, because I think the shine's taken off of lower league baseball a little bit. And I think I think that story that came out from The Economist, that soccer has taken over the third place.
From baseball.
I'm not sure at the top of the ladder that makes a big difference, but I think in where we're talking about the medium sized level, I really think that's where that jump has come.
Yeah. And you mentioned your MK Ultras. We have Ryan Smeltzer in the chat here as one of our Footy faithful, is one of your MK Ultras. He's one of those guys, I imagine, that has a lot of stories to share back and forth. So grateful for folks like Ryan who forward the stories.
And I love Ryan because he's kind of a parallel guy to me, because I do a lot of the same things he does for Fort Wayne, but for Oakland County FC. So I'm a seasonal full-time guy for Oakland County FC, and then the rest of the year, I try to rebuild my life while doing Morning Kickaround.
Yeah.
You guys know that. I mean, the
Oh, yeah.
short season, summer soccer season, it kind of takes over your life there for a minute. You throw yourself into it, and
Yeah.
it's over, and
Yeah.
you gotta. Oh wait, I gotta take care of some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
for
we're
sure.
jumping in. We're jumping in from that to now the full season. So we're excited about that for sure.
I think
So
I honestly think that Detroit City FC, the NGS, are still making that transition. They're probably there now, but I mean, going from their hardcore days of NPSL, you got like maybe 10 dates, and then you go to a 9-month schedule. It's a whole different form of support.
yeah.
And we have DCFC coming to Fort Wayne this year in the USL Cup later
That's very
this
cool.
season. So we're pretty excited about that.
And I think that is pretty clever. While I hope that it doesn't take too much air out of the U.S. Open Cup, which is in a funny spot right now. But I do like that they've somewhat engineered a way to get more games for USL One teams, and then that has in a way added some regionalization in combination with the Open Cup, because we talked to AV Alta. If you check out the Morning Kickaround channel, we've talked to most of all of the expansion sides, either a coach or a team representative from all the new teams. But we did talk to some of the newer teams this year, including AV Alta, which is out in California. And without the USL Cup and Open Cup, that was the bulk of their regional schedule, was the cup competition. So I am excited for you guys to have NGS come into your town. Did they ever in the NPSL days? Were you guys ever in the NPSL, or did you go straight to USL 2?
Straight to USL 2.
That's okay. I knew that. I just mentioned that you guys came to Boston, Michigan.
I think there was talk of NPSL, and then USL 2 came into play right as they were forming the team, and but we've been USL 2 since the beginning there.
I could be wrong, but 1927 might have been NPSL years ago. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100%
I
sure,
do
but
think he talked about it though.
Yeah.
When he came on, I think he talked about that.
So it was a Fort Wayne Sport Club at the time. They just rebranded to 1927 this last year or so. So let's get into some of these big stories here in USL One. There's new stadiums. You guys have done shows on that. We're following Boise's stadium build. We're obviously following Fort Wayne FC's stadium build. What are you seeing that has piqued your interest as a soccer fan of maybe the new stadiums that are going up that you think are going to be the ones like the premier stadiums in the league?
The premier stadiums in USL League One, I think that the Boise one is going to be very interesting one to take hold. I actually think that you guys are going to be, once it's all said and done and built up, you guys might have the jewel of the league. I really think, honestly, I hate to be skeptical, but I think that the big storylines is how many teams are going to be hanging tough. There's, in the long run here, because like I said, the league started off with 10. They were up to 14, and the league was actually going into 2026. There's 18, but it actually, not too long ago was supposed to be 21.
Yeah, it was 21. We've talked about this. Yeah.
So I honestly think that some of the best stories of 2025 in American soccer were in the USL League One. I think we're going to see the best and the worst of American League soccer with USL League One, because I feel like in the next couple of years we're going to see a lot of coming and going, because Fort Lauderdale was supposed to be there, they delayed. Cascades was going to be there and they delayed, and then Texoma dropped down. So there is some volatility, and I will say, and not every team should be the same, obviously, but I think that there's some big disparities between some of the teams of the professionalism level, or there's some other teams like Corpus Christi. I don't know what to expect from them, because they're in a similar position. They were at a USL 2 team, and they're moving up to professional level. And we'll see how both organizations adjust to the new workload, the longer seasons, and obviously the higher costs. But I think it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out in that way, and how travel plays out, and how supporters take to it. I'm curious to think, what do you guys feel like about going from, I'm assuming, I don't know you guys' home venue, I'm assuming it was a high school type of a scenario for Fort Wayne?
College football stadium. Yep.
Going to a custom soccer specific stadium. I'm curious this is a very unique moment, waiting for the crown jewel here.
a lot of us pass it almost every day on the highway, so it's pretty exciting to watch. It's exciting for us to have an actual soccer stadium in the city, to be honest. You know, there's not very many. In fact, a lot of our high schools will play on a football field. And so to have a soccer specific stadium is really exciting. So I think that's the hype that a lot of people are getting behind as well as moving up to the professional ranks. But as we're looking at like player signings and stuff like that are starting to come out, and we're starting to get the team built around, you know, a few players. That's also something that everyone's really excited about. But that was a question that I had for you was,
hey, before we jump in there,
yeah.
I drove past the stadium today and it was a whole new feeling for me. Like, Robert, I don't know if you've been down here, if you've seen it at all, but it's right off of the highway. Like, you can almost reach out your window and touch it as you're driving past. It's in a beautiful location, very visible. It's not downtown, which that was the thing that, you know, some people wanted, but it's very visible for anybody traveling through Fort Wayne. And I drove past and I had a different experience this morning because I bought my season tickets the other night and I went, that's where I'm going to sit. And I could, you know, see it straight from the highway. I see, like, the seats aren't in there yet, but I can visualize where it's going to be. Second tier, front row, midfield. It's going to be beautiful, and I can see it from the highway. So I'm really excited, even more excited now than I was just yesterday driving past that stadium.
Yeah, I think with the city especially, there's the casual interest of it. So like Dustin, myself, Brian, we're going to be at the games regardless, right? There's going to be that group of the hardcore fans, but then there's a lot of buzz for the non-soccer fans as well. So it's driving that game day experience. Even my family and my in-laws who have only witnessed soccer through me and through my kids have no idea what a World Cup is or anything like that. They're excited about this stadium because they drive by it. So I think there's a lot of excitement around the city right now, you know, where it's should be a good turnout and drive that financial side of it to have that stability here in Fort Wayne.
So it's become it's mainstream there locally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's outside of the bubble that the soccer fans live in sometimes.
I'm getting fewer and fewer people asking, what's that thing going on?
What is that?
What's that stadium? What's that building? And I'm getting fewer and fewer of those and more people going, that soccer stadium looks kind of cool. And so, it is becoming much more mainstream. And so it's exciting in that regard too.
Was there any crossover? I had in a previous life, I worked in hockey. And I worked for the Kalamazoo Wings, and I always was super excited and surprised that the rivalry between Kalamazoo and Fort Wayne Comets always rung out.
Oh, heck yeah.
Has any of that support from the Comets carried over to soccer?
Some of the front office staff has, for sure, has been with the Comets and is now with Fort Wayne FC. We'll see. I think that's yet to be determined if the Comets fandom transitions over to Fort Wayne FC.
The Comets still alive and well?
Still alive and well. Yes, sir.
Good.
Yep. Yeah.
So Dustin, I cut you off, man.
You're good.
Question.
No, you're good. No, I was just going to ask you, as we are looking in like USL One and we're seeing all those players getting signed and we're seeing new players that we didn't know before. And we're seeing a lot of players from the USL2 team that are being signed as well. As you're looking across the league and you're looking at players that either have been signed or that are sitting out there, that are just waiting to be signed, do you follow players very, very closely, or do you see some that you're like, that's a good pick that I would say is kind of waiting out there to be signed that probably could excel pretty well in USL One?
I would say maybe a little while ago, like about 9-12 months ago, I would have been following players more.
Yeah.
But like kind of the scope of things has broadened so much that we've almost like unintentionally ventured into more of like the businessy kind of side.
Yeah.
Because we're covering like city council meetings.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or rumors about the format of promotion and relegation.
Yeah.
Or tracking, like speaking to team executives and stuff like that about their teams, because we're following a few teams in a series called Countdown to Kickoff, and we're kind of getting like behind the scenes of like kit designers and the coach. We actually, I think you're in for it when you guys play at AC Boise. The coach Nate Miller there made me want to run through a brick wall, and that was just like through the video screen like us. So that sort of thing. So I can't necessarily speak to some players, like if I've seen them personally or if they have a connection to Michigan or something like that. Because there was a player on Boise that came from the old Lansing Ignite team.
Okay.
That stood out, and that was in the inaugural year of USL League One pre-COVID. There was 1 year before it, and then a lot of those teams didn't make it through to the other side of COVID. But there was a player on there that followed Coach Miller on his travels across. Can you believe it? American soccer coach Nate Miller. This is a great American soccer story. Played or a coach now for 3 different expansion teams that have started from zero. So I call him, he's the American expansion specialist.
Yeah. That was a good interview. I got to see that one. And did you have any connection with Nate when he was in Lansing before he moved out of there?
Only because I have talked quite a bit and gotten relationships with the guys that were supporters of, it was Lansing United was the amateur team similar to Fort Wayne, and then they kind of disbanded that to become the Lansing Ignite, which turned to be a bit of a I don't even know what the right term is, but basically the successful amateur team got closed for a 1-year wonder pro team that went away, and then so in their frustration, the supporters there created Lansing Common, which is an amateur summer soccer team. They play in the Midwest Premier League. And I only know the Coach Nate Miller story through knowing those guys over the last couple of years.
Yeah. And that's the league 1927 plays in with Lansing Common. I remember them coming to town last year. So
yeah, Midwest Premier League, great league. It's almost like a for us bias, like a league run by the clubs, and most of them are expats from NPSL and the UPSL. And it's also been a great place for new teams to start their own brand. So it's kind of a unique mix of some old ethnic teams like Bavarians from Milwaukee and some
that was
Austria.
My club. I played for Bavarians, yeah.
Hey, yeah. And then so those guys are playing against teams that like literally started 2 months before that, and they have a unique brand and trying to do things their own way. So that the Midwest Premier League is a pretty cool league like that.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that.
Yeah. We can. We're Fort Wayne Footy, man. We can talk 1927 as well. But as you look at, you mentioned a lot of the new teams coming in, the expansion teams coming in with Boise and Fort Wayne and Corpus Christi and
the Cosmos.
Naples is new. Sarasota's new this year. What, as you look across the landscape of those expansion teams, are there any that, is it too early to speak to any of those teams that might make waves in USL One, or is the league volatile enough that a new team can step in and really make waves early on?
Well, the reigning champions is one Knoxville. And they won both the league, so like the Supporter Shield equivalent, and the playoffs. So undisputed winners. So you'd think that they'd be the favorite going in, but with there's 5 new teams. It's hard to say one of them hits the ground running. If you look up at Major League Soccer, obviously not the same mats, but San Diego first year, lightning in a bottle. Similar, Atlanta United did that back in the day. And I wouldn't be surprised that Naples did pretty well in their first year. Avialta had a good start and kind of came midfield. But I really do think that with most players are only on 1 or 2 year contracts, and then with how new the teams are, I really think it could be anyone's game. I'd give the reigning champions the leg up, but it's probably wide open as it stands with just so many unknowns. And I think the next couple of years it's going to be like that because there's Cascades and Fort Lauderdale are saying they're still going to come into the league. They just delayed. And there's other ones that, like I said, we hear almost every other day about a new team exploring the opportunity to do that. So I would say, it's anyone's game right now. Maybe some of the teams that finished at the bottom, Westchester SC was a new team. They did not fare as well as the likes of Naples, and they finished dead last. They completely cleared house of their entire coaching staff. So who knows? Maybe they make a 1 year turnaround, or maybe they form their early identity as a cellar dweller. It's hard to say.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, like, I grew up in Cincinnati, but I'm an FC Cincinnati fan, FC Cincinnati host of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. These guys know that story, but we came into the league very different in MLS than Atlanta United did and San Diego did. Three-time wooden spoon winners. So it's nice to be at the top there as well. And we hope Fort Wayne gets there.
Yeah, congrats on the turnaround. But so what turned your head to Fort Wayne from Cincinnati then?
So I live in Fort Wayne, grew up in Cincinnati. And so, yeah, just it's nice to have a hometown team. And so still following FC Cincinnati, different league. I feel like my allegiance can lie there still and pick up allegiance here in Fort Wayne. So when we had a team, my dream was to start a podcast like this to do it. And we finally did this last year. And now the team's going pro, new stadium. We got a lot of buzz happening right now.
It's a heck of a time to start a podcast about the amateur side.
Absolutely was. Absolutely was. Well, Micah, did you have anything before we get Robert out of here? We're going to wrap up the show here in a minute, but didn't know if you had any burning questions you wanted to throw his way.
No, I just thank you for the shout out for Bavarians. So I don't get much from the Milwaukee area, but absolutely love that club. Great club, great environment. Had a great experience there.
Yeah, it's one of the models you'd want any club to be in. They have their brew house and all their training fields and all the history to lean on. That's the sort of thing that I can't wait. A generation that Oakland County FC. Hopefully we could have something, a slice of that. And I can't lie that I'm jealous. You guys, like I'll say again, Oakland County FC beat Fort Wayne in their first ever game. But DeMarcus Beasley came out and cheered his team off. It was a cold, miserable day, and he still posed for pictures. So he's a gent for that. But you guys, like I said, have gone lengths and bounds with divisional titles and now going pro. So exciting times in Fort Wayne, no doubt. And I think the league ahead, hopefully more and more teams join in and that density and those dots increase, and you guys won't have to go to Boise and California and stuff like that, or at least not all that often. But fingers crossed that it all leads to longevity.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the first game in Naples. I get to fly down there with my son for their first match. So their inaugural match in USL League One. So that'll be a lot of fun. And hopefully I get to go to California and Boise at some point and see their new stadiums, their new teams and all of that. So
our fingers are crossed that Boise invites us out there. I'm hoping for that in the back of my mind.
For sure. Well, you're not too far away from us here in Fort Wayne, and hopefully we can make something happen. I'd love to get together and with you and your co-host and see what happens when Detroit City comes to town later this summer. So Robert, thanks for joining us today. Host of Morning Kickaround. Tell us where people can find you and how they can learn more about your show.
Okay, so Morning Kickaround is an interactive show. We do it 3 times live a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9:30 to 10:30 Eastern time. And then we kind of slice up those segments and put them up as separate videos. So we post just about a video every single day based off the 3 live shows. And then on social media, we're growing across the platforms, and we are at MKickaround across all the platforms, but we're really focused on the YouTube and the YouTube growth, and I can't wait to see you guys there early in the morning. And we have our next installment of Countdown to Kickoff with the Cosmos, and it comes at an interesting time with Rocco Camiso passing away over the weekend, who obviously owned, and I still think had some sort of his name on the paperwork somewhere on this 3rd generation of New York Cosmos. So it'll be a Cosmos heavy show in the morning for a variety of reasons, but anyone tuning in, haven't joined in yet, please do so. And shout out to our guy, Ryan, once again. I'm sure he had something to do with you guys getting on this show. And then he's already trying to plan Ultra Fest, where we get some fans and listeners. Maybe I'll get some OCFC guys to come out there and see your new stadium.
Sweet.
That'd be great. Well, Robert, best of luck to you. Thanks for joining us tonight here on Fort Wayne Footy, and we'll catch you in the morning on Morning Kickaround.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
See you, man.